Hey Legacy community, this is Terramaster, back again, as promised, with the second top 4 match in our June Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy Speed Duel regular tournament. And the link to the Discord will be in the description as always, and here we go. Today we have MSD12, who is Blaze in our Discord, versus Linkmaster, who is FivedimensionTCG in our Discord, so I'll just be referring to them as Blaze and Linkmaster since that's the easiest things to say. Anyway, Linkmaster will go first. He will set a Gokipon, interesting, in a Cocoon deck. Certainly not your typical meta right now. And we'll go ahead and pass turn over. Blaze is playing Gravekeeper Burn, as you can see. He flips a coin, I think accidentally. He summons a Gravekeeper's Curse and sets a full back row, passes over. Gokipon will go ahead and flip summon and swing into that Gravekeeper's Curse, allowing, if they both die, which they do, to search the Parasite Paranoid here. But now the one disadvantage of that may be that his opponent knows he has it, but then at the same time it may cause your opponent to play differently than they normally would. Anyway, Blaze will do nothing. Linkmaster will get his turn again. He will immediately go ahead and shuffle that Gokipon back in and use Cocoon's second ability to draw an additional card. And then he'll set back row, and that's it. Blaze will do nothing once again. Linkmaster will do nothing except set a back row once again. Blaze will do nothing once again. Look at this hand. 3 Sphere Kuriboh. What a hand. Absolute protection. As both players pass, Wonder Wand comes out from Blaze, which causes him to finally make a move, as he will use a Face Down Bright Spirit to summon a Curse. 500 damage, counter on Twisted Personality, activates Wonder Wand, gets hit with a Dust Tornado, ends turn, end phase Parasite Paranoid coming out, so that in case something happens to it, he can go ahead and use it again his turn, since it's once per turn. Parasite Paranoid will stay attached, however, and he will get to activate his Cocoon, summoning a Perfect Ultimate Great Moth from the deck, and go ahead and swing in for a big 3500. However, Blaze will activate Nightmare Wheel, which will get Dust Tornadoed. The Moth attack attempts to go through again. This time Zoma will come out and block, and he can't attack Zoma, because if he does, he would take 3500, which would cause him to lose the game at this moment. Blaze will go ahead and set a back row and attempt to crash that Zoma in, as no matter how Zoma is destroyed by battle, it will do that big burn damage, but it gets stopped by Nightmare Wheel. So 500 damage to Blaze, but he does get a counter off of that. That's the thing against playing Nightmare Wheel against Burn, is that they benefit from it at the same time that you do. So he will flip that Maid or Bug that was face down, pop that Zoma, and now go for lethal by attacking with Moth, since Nightmare Wheel did the other 500. Blaze will go ahead and use a Sphere Kuriboh on that. He will go ahead and use Rite of Spirit to summon a Curse in defense to block the Maid or Bug's attack. And turn pass over to him. He will use his 3 counters from his skill to pop that Moth. He will now go aggressive, as Linkmaster's skill has already been used. Once their skill's been used, they're at a pretty good disadvantage. Parasite Paranoid does come down and equip onto Recruiter, preventing it from attacking insect monsters. Now, Blaze will choose not to attack with the Curse, end phase Zoma, as always. Zoma will go ahead and swing into the Curse, getting Sphere Kuriboh'd. This Zoma being at 500 defense will allow Blaze to try to swing into Zoma with one of his monsters and take a low amount of damage, which he does go ahead and do with his Recruiter. This time he will go ahead and attack with Curse, but alas, he gets Sphere Kuriboh'd. Linkmaster will go ahead and take his turn. It's interesting he chose not to keep his Zoma alive with one of his other Sphere Kuribohs, because he could have done that and then use Zoma to attack back. But let's see what he's planning here. Wonder Wand comes in onto the Recruiter, because that Parasite's equipped on it. He wants to go ahead and get it off the field. I think he was willing to risk the Moth, since he had the Nightmare Wheel to hold it down and also a Sphere Kuriboh to protect from it. And I think also at this point he just figured that there is no Moth, or else the opportunity when he equipped that Parasite in the first place, he could have done it to a monster that he knew was going to go ahead and get destroyed. Anyway, moving on. So Blaze does draw 2 from the Wonder Wand and does grab a card from the Recruiter. I think he went ahead and grabbed another Recruiter. He summons a Curse here. 500 more damage. Another counter. He chooses not to attack. Interesting once again. I believe at this point he may just be thinking that you got to keep the Moth player's field clogged as much as possible, because you're going to win the long game just by burning and twisting personality their resources off. But he does draw Moth, which allows him to Parasite, flip, pop, Moth. Moth will attempt to go in for game here. However, Nightmare Wheel comes out. And once again, Nightmare Wheel is going to do the burn damage. The Twisted Personality is starting to gain counters. He will activate it to take a sphere from hand, tribute the Oracle, tribute the Oracle. Yeah, if you tributed the Oracle, you would not be summoning the Oracle unless you had two. Whatever. What am I saying? Tributes the curse to summon the Oracle. Gets feared after cutting all the Link Master's monsters' attacks by 2,000. So no lethal there. However, Link Master does not have an answer to that Oracle, so he goes ahead and concedes the first game. And Blaze was lagging here, so they did reset before game 2. So let's just skip over to that game here. This is game 2, even though they had to start it over. But I think they decided that they would go ahead and allow themselves to go immediately to side. Yep. And then Link Master would get to choose where to go first or second, since he admitted defeat as soon as the second match started here. So Blaze goes first, does the classic Curse Wonder Wand combo, which allows him to draw into a sphere in the back row. And turn passes over. Link Master draws the classic anti-burn side deck card, which is Golden Ladybug. Goki Pawn in defense, he locks that Golden Lady Pawn. I am so messed up right now. Okay. He locks that Goki Pawn down, but Dust Tornado comes in to save it from being locked down. Another curse comes out, allowing him to snipe that Magneto Bug from the hand as he chooses not to attack and pass turn over. Ladybug once again boosts the life points with 500. So far, both of those curses have been perfectly negated as far as burn damage goes. And another issue with summoning Curse is that you can crash it into, or your opponent can crash a Gokipon into it. However, he does stop it with Parasite, and he does put it into defense. Here comes a Zoma the Spirit from Link Master at the end phase. This is going to allow him to start to be aggressive. As he gains 500 more life points, he will try to go be aggressive. However, Sphere Karibo does come out here. Now, Blaze had two options. You could either run over the Zoma with either the Recruiter or the Curse, but then again that would open up the option of Gokipon giving a Suicide up and then giving a Parasite to Link Master. However, so what he does instead is he goes ahead and takes that Lava Golem option, giving the Lava Golem, since he does have two monsters and a Nightmare Wheel, to protect himself if that Lava Golem decides to attack. Here's another Golden Ladybug. Now let's see what Link Master does here. I was just going to say, he has an option to go ahead and tribute off that Lava Golem immediately after only burning him one time. And he does that. However, he does bounce the Recruiter, but the Nightmare Wheel does flip up onto the Visor Shock. But now that Gokipon is in his graveyard, he can recycle it for a free draw. Turn passes over. Blaze will set a Recruiter, and he will once again use his two counters to snipe off that Moth from hand, which, I mean, he really wanted to hit the Golden Ladybug, so that's not really what he wanted. However, in a way, it's not bad, because now if Link Master was to top deck Parasite, his double Moth play turns into only a single Moth play, so it's not ideal, but it's also not bad. Link Master will try to, I think he just passed. I'm getting ahead of myself here, or behind myself, whatever. Blaze will try to be aggressive here, go ahead and take out that Visor Shock with a Recruiter. He will go ahead and swing aggressively with his two other Gravekeeper monsters, but a Nightmare Wheel comes in to put a stop to some of that. Then he'll take double burn damage from double Nightmare Wheel. Now Blaze is losing 1,000 life points per turn, while Link Master is gaining 500 life points per turn. So isn't this insane? With like a simple Golden Ladybug side deck and Nightmare Wheels, Moth is now doing a better job of burning than Burn is in some ways. It's hilarious. It's like the battle of attrition is supposed to absolutely be won by the Burn deck, which, I mean, it might still be here because the advantage you have is Twisted Personality. Like I discussed about the Nightmare Wheel in a previous video, when you do Nightmare Wheel against Burn, you're essentially handing them a counter every turn. And the 500 life points, they care about somewhat, but they don't really care about as long as they can block most of your attacks, because that's what they're trying to do. They're usually winning the slow, drawn-out resource game when they're playing Burn and you're not. And they also have the option to sometimes be aggressive, like you saw with that Recruiter attack just there. Anyway, Parasite Paranoid will finally come down, and we'll finally be going for that big Moth play as the 500 gain loss happens. And the Recruiter does go to a graveyard line to search for the Oracle, And he does summon a Gokipon from deck since he went ahead and drew his second Moth as well. But Gokipon is good enough to take out a monster right now, which is pretty cool. He will search for a Maneater Bug. Go ahead and swing in for big damage on that Parasite. That Moth. However, nope. Gets blocked by Nightmare Wheel. Blaze will draw into Rite of Spirit. Uses Twisted Personality to take out that Moth, and we'll go ahead and swing in for 1200. He's saving his Oracle for when he really needs it. However, it doesn't matter. He's got that Rite of Spirit. He's got Lethal, and the game has been decided. The winner is Gravekeeper Burn. So that's right. Your final will not be a Moth versus Moth mirror match. It will be a Burn versus Moth. Arguably the two most powerful decks in the meta. Let's see who comes out on top in the next video very soon. Terramaster out.